Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my friend JoAnne Palladino. Hi, JoAnne. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Nice to be with you.
Yes, I'm so glad. So I really can ask some deep questions with JoAnne because I know her pretty well. So, but we're going to make it easy to start. Sorry. um,
Thanks.
Okay, so when we first met, you had just started feeling a presence that was coming through you, and I remember you telling stories about not always being able to control and make it appropriate. That that you would start to feel Shemaya, the beings of light, come through, and it didn't matter where you were. Do you want to talk about when you first experienced Shemaya and how that all happened?
Yeah. But can I say, I'd like to say something first.
Okay, sure.
Before I get into that story. I want to acknowledge you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Acknowledging you for your devotion and dedication.
Well, thank you.
To really support humanity on the planet.
Thank you.
Because it takes a lot of courage and all kinds of levels of energy, Kathy.
Yes.
So, namaste, sister.
Thank you. Thank you. Love you too.
Yeah, namaste makes me
make me cry.
Makes me cry, and tears may come today.
Yeah, thank you, dear.
Yeah, the light language that you're speaking about, it's been, I bet, 8 to 9 years already. It's pretty crazy.
Really?
Of how long this has come through me, and it was spontaneous, and not knowing what this was all about and what words or non-words that were coming through. And it was quite disruptive. It was fearful. I thought I was a bit crazy, and I still am. I'm still feeling I'm a bit. Last night I felt like I was a bit crazy.
Good.
What was going on 3 o'clock in the morning. But I did. I felt crazy. I felt alone. I felt fearful. I wanted to know what this was all about. It did quite a job on my body. And it took a lot out of my body. And it did come through whenever it wanted. You know, it could have come through at 3 in the morning, or when I was having dinner out, or shopping at Macy's, plug for Macy's, you know, whenever. And I knew it was going to come through. I felt it on this side, on my right side, because I started feeling unusual. And, you know, like I was like, uh-oh, something's going on. And the language just started. So the journey was quite a bumpy one. But then I found a number of people that were able to help me through it and better understand it, and to realize that I was in control and the energy wasn't. It was like the energy was excited that it found a body, a willing body.
Transmission.
Probably subconsciously there was something going on there, but the intellectual mind was not. Like, that was not my thing. Like, what is the language of light? I had no idea. And Shemaya, just to introduce that word and what that means to people. One evening, having dinner outside with friends, here it comes, and the language came through, and it was specifically coming through for the gentleman that was with us for dinner.
Okay.
And one of the things that I kept saying was Shemaya, Shemaya, but I didn't realize it. And when the language does come through, I I'm very present, and then I'm not at the same time. So I'm connected where I could come back and have a conversation with you, and then still be challenging and being very aware. But I didn't realize Shmaya. And my husband Coley, after it was over, and I had to collect myself. Coley said, he goes, I recognize something you said. I'm familiar with it, which was like, really? That was exciting for me. Like, you understand something. And it was Shmaya.
Yeah.
So Shmaya is an ancient Aramaic word, meaning light God vibration, the Shem part, light God vibration. And the Maya means that quality, that light God vibration is in everything, everyone, and in every word.
Mm-hmm.
So we are all, everything is Shmaya. And Shmaya is used in, like in the Beatitudes, the ancient texts of St. Thomas. So it is written and woven in, and I think Kabbalah too, I'm not sure. But it's woven in that when they speak of Shmaya, they speak of substance of everything. It is the God. It is, we could call it creation, is another description.
Mm-hmm.
So though we say Shmaya, the beings of light, it's everything.
Right.
It is all things, and it's nothing at the same time. If you could sort of get that. I don't know if the intellectual will say it's nothing and it's everything, or it's form and it's formless. It is.
I want to add, because I got to see you grow into this. I mean, I was so lucky that you and Coley came to my office and we started working, and it was overwhelming for you how much love was coming through you. And I still think the best English word for what I experienced by you bringing through, transmitting this, is grace. And grace at this level is a purification. It's not just when you think Mother Mary, grace. It's not that. This is this reconnection to you at a source level that comes through your speaking and your energy, that reignites the memory inside of the others, which there are no others.
Yes.
Anyway, but it's grace. And so I want to just plant that seed for the audience so that they know the gift that this is and maybe can recognize it, because we're in these times where everyone's pointing fingers. There's so much high contrast, and it's not real. What's real is the grace, is the beauty of you as a divine being. And Shmaya points to that and shares that and shines a light on it. Don't you agree?
I also describe it as divinity. Also, is maybe that encompasses, grace. It's the expression of our divinity, and there really are no words to describe it. It is the beauty and the felt quality of the essence of, like we say, our true self, and that this isn't real. The true self is, we could describe it as the absolute reality, and the finger pointing is the relative reality, and we think this is real. Sometimes people have a hard time understanding that. Well, they say this isn't real. How can this not be real? But if we look at it as the relative and absolute reality, that might help people bring it into perspective. So last night, like I was sharing with you, Kathy, it was like the bumpy ride and beauty at the same time. But one of the messages, there were a lot of messages coming through, and one of them was that there's a resurfacing of the ancient to birth the new. And I feel that's really what we're in. And it wasn't rebirthing, it was birthing into the new. And we've heard it described as a new earth, but it's really um, the new level of human and humanity. This is, and Shmaya is here, so the
Yay.
presence may be coming through here. Pasino o kushino mala emata stono mai patakan mistono upa shino upale eto pania kadoshma alabi bina the kuluba pepena tishino opakaina destino. So this is an explanation. Now, understand we don't understand what's being said, but I invite people to really take this in and feel the felt quality of the transmission. You can take it in by closing your eyes, breathing it in, and not necessarily be in the head to say, what was that, you know, and don't ask me to repeat it because that ain't gonna happen, you know, that's not gonna happen. But this is I'll describe it as like a triggering for us to remember the level of source. If we could even get a little taste of it, you know, on our tongue, just a little taste, that spark could open, you know. So there's an essential beauty in the presence and why it's here.
Mm-hmm.
The one, and again, this is early on, years ago, the message, again, just these things just come through, those of us who receive messages. Shmaya is here to help humanity awaken. And I was like, okay. And with that realization and digesting that, that's when I started holding groups. So I could not just be with a person one-on-one, but extend it into the collective in that way. Now it's on Zoom. You know, Shmaya is now weekly on Zoom.
That's so cool.
And at times when it comes through, I don't know necessarily why, but there's a level of knowing that it's coming through at this particular time for the collective. So it's just going out to the ethers. And I don't have to have a story attached to it.
Perfect.
Any longer. I mean, I did in the beginning, and I let go of that a long time ago, which is a really good teaching these days.
Yeah.
To be at peace with not knowing. I wanted to know what was being said. I was sort of holding on to that. Well, and the guidance was, it's not about understanding. It's the felt quality that's raising the frequency and opening the heart.
I remember when you first started and you took a class with somebody else who was doing light language so you could not feel crazy. And and you were were overwhelmed with the energies and the beauty of it. So that's what I want to explain is I'm seeing more and more people start to do dance, song, move their hand. I mean, I have seen lately, I've seen a lot of 25, 30-year-olds that are bringing in Shmaya-like stuff with movement, and it's powerful stuff. So the gift of this is increasing the vibration. Okay, but I do have a question for you. Okay, so we're about the same age, and we both pretty much at the beginning, my camera's doing something weird. There you go. We at the beginning of our spiritual training, we're trying to get out of body. Now I think it's the game, if you want to call it a game, or the opportunity is to do the soul body fusion and using the power from here. Mm-hmm. How do you see that?
I have felt that for a long time. Dancing with incredible healers for years.
Yeah.
The practice was to leave the body and go play up in the other dimensions. And I was always like, no, I always heard and felt no, but they were like, no, this is where you go. But you have to come back. And they didn't like coming back. And that's what is the rub of, I don't belong here. Why am I here? It's not comfortable. I need to get, that dis-ease with being in human form. And guess what? We are in human form.
Part of it, anyway.
Say that?
Only part, well, part of us is. I mean, I think we're multidimensional and we can access, but the game that we stood in line to get these bodies to be here right now to help with this amazing opportunity to reconfigure the storyline here. And the power is somehow connected to this physical being, at least in that part of it. You agree?
Yeah. You know what showing up is? Yeshua's teaching of in the world, but not of the world. That's what he was talking about. Like you are embodied and you're walking through in the Christed energy or the awakened energy or the true essence of divinity.
Yep.
So that's, I feel, is what you're speaking of. And it allows us to be fully present, grounded in form, so we can, I mean, this is to help the soul evolve as well, right?
Of course.
For lessons. And if we're always out there, we might be losing and missing the lessons. So to be fully present, and the beauty about human is the felt quality. I wish I had a VA, like the beauty of the felt quality.
Exactly.
And that's why people go out of body purposely, because they don't want to feel. And that's part of the healing process, especially on the soul level, which is the human being, the human being aspect of us. So I feel it's becoming more of a truth that embodiment is more important now than ever, and not check out.
Right.
In whatever way you're checking out. It could be, addiction. It could be healers that go and see you later. I'm going to another dimension, but got to come back. And then it makes it more challenging to do that.
Well, are you seeing when you're working with people? I know when a while back when we were working together, you were working with some quite a bit younger kids and helping them guide them. And I'm concerned about the younger kids and how they're taking this lockdown. Whether especially the high schoolers and all those times that you make those memories. They don't have graduation. They don't have, college. All those years. Are you seeing? And I don't know if you're still working with some younger people, but are you seeing COVID effects?
I think the COVID effects are all very multi-level with people. We could just talk about fear as the effect. And it's running the gamut. The younger folks, because most of my clients at this point are like from 30s and older.
Okay.
I am really, I don't know if the word concerned, but wanting to be like what's going on in their head. And with some, like my nephews, having conversations with my nephews, the things that they're sharing with me, they're quite awake on a certain level. Because I was like, God, I didn't think about that until I was, 50, and at the same time, there's this level of fear in them that's holding them back. Because I'm like, oh my God, you're such a bright light. And how I see this is where they are distracted. And this is for all of us. It's not necessarily young people.
Right.
It's where we're being distracted or being pulled to stay in the sludge and the fear, and continuing to cultivate the same old. So it's like such an opportunity now, and this is like, again, for everyone, for us to take that sacred pause, as I call it, just sort of step back and begin to realize what is going on in here and what do you want, what fulfills you. It's no longer needing to please anyone else.
Yes.
Like mommy and daddy, no matter how old you are. I work with some people that are much older, and it's still a mommy and daddy thing. Not that they call it that, but it's still connected to childhood, you know.
Well, it's trying to still get conditional love. That's what it's conditional love, even though they wanted to get unconditional love, but that.
You know, much of my personal work and the teachings that I extend to clients is about complete and unconditional love and self-acceptance. Imagine if we were all there 100% in. Humanity and planet Earth's existence would be a lot different than it is right now, you know.
Yeah.
And I love the self-reflections, because this is touching on something that I feel can really support the tipping point within people.
Okay.
Is why we do the things that we do. Why am I doing that? Or why do I continue to reach out or try to please, or, you know, or give 1,000%. We were talking about this a little yesterday, giving 1,000%. And I completely forget about myself, and I have nothing left over.
Well,
less than nothing left over for myself.
So, JoAnne, I think this is a great conversation, because we were taught it was selfish, but I can't think of anything that's more important than the big work of working on yourself now. And that's what I saw at the beginning of COVID. I've never worked on myself this much in my whole life, even though I've taken courses and I've worked with tons of healers. This time where everything was shut down and condensed, I've still been very busy with work, which I'm very grateful for. But this was a time to, when you heard yourself talk, of who's saying that, and why did I just say that to myself? Why did I do that? And then have the opportunity to clear it.
Yeah.
You know, so I think this fear, that this pause before the reset is an advantage if people realize it.
I've been teaching the sacred pause for years. And that came to me through the book, The Way of Mastery, which I'm a student of. And
you get it's, I don't know where it is right now.
Yeah. And that's a channeled book for anyone who needs to know. It's a channeled book, and it's the teachings or the lessons of Yeshua. And self-realization and self-inquiry really is where it all begins, to help not only yourself, but the tipping point for humanity. And realizing, and this is something that I'm just like, oh, when are we going to get this? How significant each of us are in the scheme of this grandness. Oh, I'm not going to do that. They could do it. I'm still going to do the same old thing and eat McDonald's and do whatever I want to do, and still try to be the pleaser so I could get my love from others instead of loving yourself.
Exactly.
But if we look at everything as frequency, what we eat in thoughts, in actions, in beliefs, in the words that we use, you know, it is all frequency, it's all vibrational, which is going through this form. And guess what? It's extending out.
Right.
Once we begin to shift on that self-inquiry is how I describe it,
Mhm.
being with the pause, allowing yourself to stop, step back,
Mhm.
and just notice what you're beginning to feel. Huh, God, I never noticed that. When I say something, my throat starts closing up, you know. And then what do we do with that? We could just be with it and breathe through it.
So
We could give it a sound. We could move through it. We could honor the contraction instead of denying it or not even paying attention or even know it's there. It's there for a reason, for like expression, expression. So I feel the sacred pause helps to raise one's awareness, which then allows what can I do with that awareness, which creates the opportunity to shift and
perfect.
choose differently is a
Perfect.
good way of putting it. Choose
Or you're
differently.
choosing from presence. See, that sacred
Yeah.
pause gets you to that 0 point middle ground, whatever you want to call it, where you can really touch into your feeling rather than reacting on. Okay, do you want to say something?
There is nothing else but present. There is a choice. Do you choose continuing to drag with you the past, which is heavy, which is dense, which is fearful? Do you still want to nourish that? Why? What is the purpose? To stay with your story, to stick with your story. The future we not know, but in the present moment, we have an opportunity to be with what the future will look like. If there is one thing
Beautiful.
that any of us could take away from this lifetime is just be here and now. Now, how old is that teaching?
Ram
It's
Dass
so old.
brought it
Ram
through.
Dass, be here now.
Well, he brought it through to contemporary society, but it's ancient.
Yeshua, be still and know. Not go back in the past and try to figure it out and then we'll talk again. But be still and know
Perfect.
that I am God breathing through you. Be still and know that I am God breathing through you. Now, if people have a hard time being in the present moment, you could just simply connect with the breath. Now, how ancient is that teaching? Also, be still and know that I am God breathing through you. We don't want to make this complicated, folks. Complicated, turn on the TV. Tap into politics,
No, no.
arguments, discussions. My teachings are also about simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
not giving you volumes of books to read, but simple mindful practices that I say if you become a master at one, you're good. You're golden. Because then that'll extend out to another and to another. You know. My sense is whoever's listening today and in the future, those who are on a spiritual path, if you look at your treasure chest of tools, how many are you a master of?
Perfect.
I really invite you to look through the tool chest, the treasure chest of gems, and choose 1, 2, 3 to become a master. being in the present moment could be a good start, because that's where everything will grow from. It's sort of the root, the foundation of be here now.
Beautiful.
Stillness speaks, Eckhart Tolle and Thich Nhat Hanh and Yeshua. I mean, again, it's like, when are we going to get this?
Well, it's more than an intellectual getting, it's a feeling. And it's a feeling, again, of trust, I think, that is, and maybe that's just my paradigm, but I think that there's a difference between intellectually getting it and emotionally getting it. And it's the emotional getting it that I think you're talking about. That's the deep knowing.
This is not about the intellectual knowing at
Right.
all.
Right.
I'm with you. It is the opening of the heart center. It is the allowance of the emotions and the felt quality of the emotions.
Beautiful.
Because when we start like tasting these, the emotions and the shifts, it is through the felt quality. And when you get deeper into the felt quality, there are no longer words to describe what you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's sort of beyond the words and the letters, as they say in Zen. Beyond words. How do I describe Shmaya? Let me transmit Shmaya. And you could try to put words to it. And and people do. So I feel feelings are like you can't avoid them any longer.
Well, the Shmaya activates, I mean, the frequencies that come through the words, it's a transmission that activates. It's almost like when you're working with people, you see what note needs to be played, and then the frequency activates that note, like, oops, there's a chord and this one's not right, or it's not playing, and that transmission seems to fill it in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a very good way to explain it for you,
Mm-hmm.
but that's the way I see it. Is it's very kind and loving, but it's this holistic nurturing that happens with it, where you come out of working with you and Shmaya, and you feel more complete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another word how we described it was a remembering, for that. So it's been interesting through the years, because everyone is affected by it in a different way. And through the board, though, I would say across the board is peaceful, more at ease, more grounded, more aware. Oh my gosh, I have energy. It's like uplifting is another way to describe it.
Yeah.
It has also triggered people to speak the language of light.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Which I think is so cool. All of a sudden they start speaking it, and this has happened in sessions. So, not answering, they just start speaking, not necessarily conversation.
Wow.
So it's very cool. It also allows people to remember, like, oh, I used to do this when I was a kid and I was made fun of, or stop it, or that's foolish. And now, again, there's that remembering coming back to the truth of who they are, the truth of who they are. And, when Shmaya comes through, there's a full compassion or a holiness with it. And it also can come through very direct, a real direct wake up message.
Oh, really?
So it's, what does the person need? Now, me as JoAnne, I don't go, oh, what does the person need? I just tap in and Shmaya comes through. And with the interpreting, which I didn't touch on, but even though it's something our intellectual level of the ego doesn't understand, there's a knowing within me that I get what's coming through, not 100% of the time. So I'm able to tell the person what this means, or if it's specifically for a part of their body, say, or a lesson. Sometimes it's a prayer, sometimes it's a conversation. And I know the difference. Again, it's not here that I know, but I just know. It's like, oh, it's about this, you know.
Yeah.
So we can say this is not linear. This is truly multidimensional, and I don't know where it's coming from. And I'm at peace with that.
I'm glad.
I'm at peace with that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to invite, whoever's listening, I don't know who's listening and what, but if anyone has a question or
that'd be
guidance, or I'm here. But
Elizabeth's here, Harlan's here, Ashim is here. So, and I'm seeing if anyone else. Yeah, here we go. So, okay, I have another question while we're waiting for them. Okay, so this time period, the age of Aquarius, is a chance for us to balance the divine masculine, divine feminine. And I've been lucky that I've been going through all of this changes and cleanup crew and get rid of the stinking thinking all by myself. But you're in partnership and you have a divine sacred partnership. Have you seen, or do you have any input or insight into this realignment? Because the divine masculine, divine feminine needs to it's time to reconnect and be in balance.
So divine masculine, divine feminine has been suppressed in the human form. Let's sort of be with that. It's a human form identity, or labeling, or an energetic presence,
right?
Which is sort of the highest form. And then we could then say, with the absolute reality, there really is no this and that. Does that make sense? You know, there isn't a this and that. So it's the human aspect of us that have lost, disowned, abused, became perpetrators, victims, that have lost that sacred essence, or the sacred marriage within ourselves first. And then, yes, there is partnership with whoever you're in partnership with, and it could be partnership with humanity. It doesn't have to be, you know, a person.
Right.
So a lot of that, again, we need to come back to ourselves and see where we have been the victim and perpetrator to ourselves, that we abused and denied the sacred feminine and the masculine. And a lot of this goes back to childhood, you know, I mean, that's like a whole other discussion, but sort of being with it. Do you need water? You okay?
No, I keep drinking. But yeah. Have you found, though, that that's part of what this time period, so I'm asking specifically that I think sacred union, which is with others and with yourself, is part of what we're experiencing. The opportunity to have that is part of this pause. And that's part of the upgrade, because it's the integration, full integration of your consciousness in all aspects, to have access to more of your soul can be in this physical form.
I feel our opportunity is our relationship with God.
Beautiful.
That's what this is about. And yes, part of that is the reclaiming of the sacred masculine and feminine. But it has been our disconnection from divinity, God, source, whatever you want to call the mystery. Do we really know? No, it's a mystery that has eroded the true essence of our being in this form, of embracing and embodying the masculine and feminine.
Okay. Okay.
You know?
I just want.
And is it, you know, it's like this pause is for us as humanity to get our act together.
Exactly.
And be with exactly where you are. Pema Chodron's teaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I begin? Where do I start? No, not at the top of the mountain. You're here. Just begin where you are. Exactly. And not freak yourselves out. I'm sort of being direct here. You know,
You think?
Stop freaking yourselves out of what is it going to be next week. I don't know, but we know now. We know now. What are you feeling? What are you noticing? Are you continuing to do that same pattern? How come? Maybe choose differently in that sacred pause. I keep criticizing myself that I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm old, I have jowls, like my mother. Oh, okay. Stop criticizing. Stop judging. Stop living in the world of duality, which this is where we are. But that's allowing the pause to sort of look at this jigsaw puzzle that humanity has created. However, you could start looking at your own jigsaw puzzle and say, what piece do I want to start with? Maybe it's just being present. Maybe it's looking in the mirror to say, I love you. Maybe it's eating fruit instead of something that's, you know, not very high in energy to, you know, to help the body. Maybe it's calling someone to say, gosh, I didn't realize how much I hurt you. It just showed itself. I'm so sorry.
Right. Yeah.
A few days ago, well, I think it was last week or the week before, doing dishes, and this realization came up like a tsunami about my father. That I didn't see something. And I saw it. Like, I didn't say, oh, I wonder what my father, it's just like, woof. I sobbed, actually asking his forgiveness to forgive me that I never saw this in him.
Oh.
And forgiving myself that I didn't have the level of awareness or consciousness to see it. Exactly. Then. What a beautiful healing and release with tears and sobs, pain and joy at the same time.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's spaciousness.
Beautiful.
Yes, beautiful. Oh.
It's really, you know, it's remarkable. Again, my personal experiences here. I'm just talking about, you know, hey, we're all walking together here. It's not like, hey, I got the answers. No. I could make suggestions. I could advise, I could guide, I could do transmission.
Oh, I think you're being very modest about this because you are capable of bringing through this divine light. Shows that you've surrendered and done a lot of work on yourself, and you are a guiding light to a lot of people so that they can follow that same path. So I understand. I think what's been interesting is I didn't realize how much I was resisting feeling until I just let myself cry, and then it was gone. I mean, we don't even know how much, men especially, boys don't cry, but if what you just said, you were washing dishes, you got the hit, you processed it. Basically, you felt the pain, the hurt, the emotion, instead of stuffing it. Because we've been taught, I mean, especially out in the business world and being parents and family, we've been taught, stuff it and keep going. Really. I mean,
Yeah, you know what came through this, and this has been going on for years for me, of these beautiful realizations, is gratitude.
beautiful.
Through this was this incredible gratitude. What happened? My heart was like, whoa,
Beautiful.
whoa, beautiful. Where the hell did that come from? Thank you, universe.
Perfect.
Thank you, universe.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, the resistance is if we're not in the present moment, we're not going to realize we resist, because we're just like, all right, let me vacuum, let me dust, let me go for, let me do this because I don't want to be with this. So being in the present moment allows the things to bubble up. And if I resisted, so there's gifts and resistance, right? Let's not look at it as resistance is bad. Resistance is an opportunity for us to and the opportunity is, do I want to be with it, or do I want to resist it or not? That's that's your choice. And if you choose to continue to resist it, that's also a teaching. I'm not going to label it, oh, you're resisting it again, that's bad. No, it's another opportunity.
Right.
And not be with it as dualistic of resistance is good or bad. It's for us to look at.
You get to choose. I mean,
yeah.
Rather than blindly running these subconscious thoughts and programs, you can choose. Do I want to keep that in the library? Nah, I think I'll return that book. I'll return that. So that's what I think this pause has been amazing. And the opportunity, I'm seeing so many people awaken and really being consciously aware of what they want, which is, I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I call it conscious choice. It's conscious choice.
Yes.
And if you're not aware of what's going on, and the way to be aware is start being more present with yourself, living in the moment. The awareness shows itself. Then you can begin to choose differently. Because it's like, oh, I had no idea. I've been doing that for the last, 40 years. Oh my God. And it's just coming to me now. Great. Don't criticize yourself to say, how come I didn't know that the last 40 years? Don't worry about that.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
But we're here now.
Yeah, it's bubbling up for a reason.
The analogy of the onion, I do love that, because, the onion, you could peel it and a big chunk comes off, right? But you could also peel it where there's like this thin veil. And it's not one is better than the other. Like you have to bite off this big chunk in order to be realized, because miracles are happening now. It's happening quick. But the thin veil, the thin like skin of the onion, that could open up incredible doors for people these days. That little step, it's like the stepping stone.
Perfect.
Of awakening. So think of this time with beauty. Kathy, you and I were chatting yesterday, saying beauty in the beast. So notice the eyes that you're looking through each day. When you wake up in the morning, what do your eyes see? Are the eyes coming from the view of fear, or the limitless possibilities that are really at the tip of your nose? It's okay to be in joy in the midst of things that are being dismantled. It is an opportunity. to rise. The message last night, the message was, the ancient is arising to birth the new. And when I say the message came through ancient, who knows how old it's really talking about. It's not the rebirthing, but it's the birthing of a new.
Perfect.
So Oma at the question that this is all for the heart center. It is about joy. And yes, and sadness and grief are there, and loneliness and anger and rage. Yes, that is the human experiences. This is not saying this is good and this is bad. It is what it is. All events, all our emotions are neutral. How do you want to engage in them in a mindful, conscious way to awaken? If you are listening to this, if you come in 3 days from now, a month from now, and listening to this, you are on the path of awakening. No longer being with the duality of rage is bad. Okay, rage is there. How can we express it in a healthy way so our conscious level begins to see more and more through the eyes of love and unity?
Beautiful.
It's always nice to pause through transmissions and receiving, because that pause allows sort of the settling in into the cells of what's being extended.
Beautiful. Well, I want to make sure that everyone knows JoAnne's website is JoAnnePalladino.com, and it's I'll put it in the comments, and also she can be reached here on Facebook, several different her personal profile, and she has a business page. And then, is there any other way that you recommend they connect with you?
You know, that's probably the easiest. I mean, you know, if you go on my website, my phone and email is there. Yeah. There are many things that are available to download for free or listen to, mini transmissions that have come through spontaneously on the video audio page, which are about a minute long. They came through, they just kept coming through. And then after the message, after the transmission, the purpose of the message, so that's available. And opportunities to work one-on-one or groups, and there's all levels of pricing. And but it seems these days just a quick hit really can make a significant difference. So I'm here to serve. So.
Well, and I'm going to share that JoAnne and I put together a product that's on her site that's a self-love product. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, you know, there's it's videos. There's also a workbook with it, which helps you do self-inquiry questions, because sometimes people go, well, what does that mean? What does that look like? But there's actual questions that are posed in this, I don't want to call it a workbook, but an exploration, a soul evolution book, a soul evolution book that gives you questions. And as you're listening to the videos, and there's transmissions, teachings, examples about emotional, physical, mental, spiritual evolution of what we're, the journey. Right. And I found that people that listen to them, their progress, they go back to the book, and how they're answering questions are different, a deeper understanding of themselves. So it's progress, no matter what it is. It's soulful progress. So, yeah.
I so enjoyed doing videotaping those sessions,
Yeah.
and the energy was off the charts. I mean, I was loaded by the end of it, which of course I'm like,
Locked and loaded, you know,
so
spiritually loaded.
well, why not? I mean, I'm here for the buzz.
Yeah.
So anyway, so if you are interested in escalating your conscious awareness and finding back a path to joy and love, this is a huge opportunity to work with JoAnne and Shmaya and to see a different aspect of yourself. I can't recommend it enough, you guys. The opportunity is real, and the opportunity to be the love that you are is just around the corner.
Mm. Yeah, it's even closer than that. It's really right here.
I know,
You
I know.
don't have to go far. Just take the breath and go, that I'm loving, and I am lovable.
Yes,
Aren't we all? We all.
thank you.
So, yeah, love and blessings. I'm just taking a moment to see if there's Kusumada Lodot. So this is a blessing. Kusumada Barato Kusumeri Dishtono. Kiababele that the Paladitushtame, Bakanda the Bahina the Kushtono, Bakaya Yeshanova. Kiakakai Papala, Ikokish, the Vedi, the Popoli, Bakada, the Shonoli, Malatakai, Kakaya, the Bahayan, the Bahatis Yanada. Echo the Lich Lulu, Alla the Tijoro, the Pakistan, I, the bigger Well, that was for the whole planet. Whoa.
Beautiful.
That was for the whole planet. You blanketed the planet.
Mm.
So blessings. Thank you again, Kathy. You're a gem. You're a gem.
Yeah.
Until next time, and look forward to hearing from others.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much.
Bye, my dear.
Bye bye. Blessings.
See you soon.